So I think if you're talking about Livonia, you need to start with Chernarus, right? I think that's where it starts. So this is a kind of crude version of Chernarus. Let me just get some kind of pencil. What colour is this? This is my attempt to be Devon Nash, but without any prep work whatsoever. Mind you, that might be the same as being Devon Nash. I don't know. So you can spawn on Chernarus all the way. That's not even right. Oh no, that is right. That's Fetlow. Yeah, that's about where you can spawn on Chernarus. On vanilla Chernarus, you can spawn. Edit undo. Don't need that one. You can spawn there, right? And you've got a viable loot route that way, and then up there. I'm not going to do this exactly. First thing, actually, before we say any of this stuff, look at the amount of names on there. That's only towns and villages and places to loot. Look at the amount of names on that. And then compare it to... Livonia. You know, what is different about Livonia to Chernarus? That's quite different, you know. And maybe that's because there's a lot more other places on there. It's not all towns. There's extra info. But this is the same. I'm using that zam.nu website. So that's all the info on Livonia. That's all the info on Chernarus. Now, maybe it's because there's a few extra things, but those look like mostly towns. I set it to be town names only. So anyway, if we come back to Chernarus for a minute. This is Chernarus. Wherever you spawn, whether you spawn here, or Berezino, or wherever, there is a viable loot route for everywhere you go. Every single way you can go Berezino, this way you can come across. You can go to, to go to Novi and then Stari, and then you can come up to the airfield or whatever. Svetlo, you can do the northern route and the military base and come down to the airfield. You've got Tissi, whatever else. There's routes everywhere. But the key thing, irrespective of which way the routes go, is that you can go in the map, whichever way you like, and right until the very end, that's Tissi military base right there, there's a reason to keep going all the way to the very end. So you've got a slightly bigger map in Chernarus, and there's a reason to go here. This is the very best military base on the map. And also, after that, with the way the gas zones are, if you get all the NBC loot here, you've then got to come back to Rifi, or come back to Pavlovo, to do the NBC loot. So you actually have to look at that drawing. I mean, it's so good, but there's a reason to go all the way into the map and a reason to go all the way back for the whole map.
Cartography with Paul, now on the BBC.
And look at that map. There's so much there. Now, bear in mind, Chernarus has been around for what? When did Arma 2 come out? 2008. Now, obviously, when DayZ Standalone launched, there was pretty much nothing. Not quite right. There was pretty much nothing in this section of the map. It was all empty. So that's all been added since then, as well as all sorts of stuff along this side as well. I think we might have one or two too many lines now, but if we just take away those, that's Chernarus, and there's a hell of a lot of flow to it, and there's a reason to go all the way to the end. With Livonia, you spawn mostly along this river. If you spawn in Topolin, you're already a third of the way down the map. Nobody that spawns in Topolin is going to go up to Branzow Castle. It's fucking shit. There's no reason to go there. Occasionally you get a spawn in Lukov. But most of the spawns are around here. And so your loot routes going in, there's not as many towns. Once you're at this point in the map, there's next to fuck all down here, you know. And I know that was meant to be an idea, and we were sold that idea, and I know a lot of people have swallowed it, and I did too, about how the bottom third is meant to be really different, and they're really going for a different playing experience. But the bottom third's got hardly anything, unfortunately, and it means that basically the playing area of Livonia for nearly everybody that plays is that. That's the playing area here. That's the only bit where nearly all the players are. So people that are saying, I love Livonia, you get so many more interactions. That's why. Because about a third of the map is actually viable play area, and most of the rest isn't. There's a few decent things down here. Swarog is called Timbark for some reason. Oh, there it is. There's a few decent things around here, but Swarog is not the northwest. Swarog is nowhere near as big as the airfield. It's nowhere near as big as Tissy. Swarog probably compares fairly well in terms of what's there in the military to, say, Kamensk military base, you know. It's just not an end game. There's no Tissy. There's no northwest airfield. And I don't mean exact replicas. I mean the equivalent kind of thing on this map. The furthest thing away from where you spawn is Dolnik, which is a really cool looking town, but it's a fucking town. It's like a new spawn town, you know. It's really cool. It looks great. But it's not anything. Dolnik should be taken out, and it should be removed. Should be some other military base, you know. This was the plan. The bottom third was meant to be forest and make for a much more different PvE experience. How is that good if the bottom third is the furthest from the spawn, but when you get there, you're meant to just kill a bear and do some fishing, you know? Like, you need to be killing a bear and doing some fishing, or killing a cow or something near where you spawn, you know. You don't. The end game isn't meant to be, I don't know, Hunter Call of the Wild or something, you know. Maybe it is for some, and that's great, but I don't think it's what many people want, you know. But that's the problem. That is the realistic thing. Look at the difference between the playable area of Chernarus. The whole map is playable. The whole map, and there's a flow, and there's a reason to keep going all the way to there, and then a reason to come back. You know, we haven't even talked about gas zones, but where are the static gas zones? One's at Radonin, which is there, and one's at, where's the other gas zone? One's here, at the airfield. That's the gas zone. So, unlike on Chernarus, where you're kind of having to come from here to here and then back, they're all in they're really close to where you spawn, and they're really close to where you go, you know. I think there's not enough viable map in it, you know. There needs to be more up here. This is all dead space. And I don't know what it could be. I'm no fucking genius. I'm no map designer. But I think Sumrak is an amazing map designer. But I don't think he designed Livonia. I think he tried to change it to make it work for standalone, as far as I gather. But there's just too much unplayable space. It's a map that's slightly smaller than Chernarus. But the real playing area it's more like, well, I don't know what that square footage is, but if you could work out what the square footage of that is, you do get players around here occasionally. You do get players around here, and you occasionally get players around wherever the shooting range is. Occasionally here. And the shooting range is somewhere around here. I can't see it on the map, but it's somewhere around here. It must be around where my line is, actually. Somewhere around there. Let's say it's there anyway, but that's close. There's just not many playable areas. And that's the thing. So obviously, with regards to what they're doing for Livonia, you have to be hoping they're going to put some amazing, like, end game area here, military base, something here, hopefully maybe military, and a shitload more summer camps. You know, maybe a summer camp up here, summer camp. It needs something around here as well, like so where you've got Zalisi. This bit here is all dead. There's loads of room in the map, and there's loads of improvements that can be made. And I know I've got way too many circles on it now, and it's kind of gone mad, but there's just not enough map being used right now. There needs to be more in the north. There needs to be more places to find hunting scopes. The only place realistically to find hunting scopes on Livonia is hunting stands, and they only really seem to spawn very reliably down here. So you have to trawl around in the forest looking for hunting scopes. And hoping for the best, you know. Meanwhile, the main threat is a bear or a wolf, you know. I always thought Livonia was a more passive, casual map. I think Livonia has got more action because there's less map to be in, you know. It's a pretty big map with not much usable space, you know. But it was a map that was designed from the ground up to be Armour 3 DLC, but also it used DayZ assets, so it could be DayZ as well. But I think whoever designed it didn't think about the flow of a loot route, you know. I just don't. And I'm not slighting the DayZ devs here. I don't think it was made with dual purposes, right? And unfortunately, there's no flow to it, you know. What is the point of having this great big map when the playable area is kind of mostly that, not there? It's just not very big. And even this is a stretch, you know. Other than at Swarog military base, occasionally you meet people in Polana. I've done that way too big. It's actually more like here. What go on? Those bits. That's more realistic. And there's also that there as well. That's pretty good. That's my favourite area on Livonia, that kind of industrial valley where you've got like the sniper spots on like this side, and this side. That's a really cool location. It's my favourite location on Livonia. It's great, but Livonia doesn't have enough locations like that. I think Dolnik's my favourite town as well, but I still think you could make a case for taking it out because there's just not enough there.
Please sell me this NFT.
Please sell you this NFT. Sure thing. Of course I will, as I close it and don't save it. That's, in a nutshell, if you look at it on a map, what's wrong with Livonia. Now, I've never done that before. I've never looked at it. But I think if you look at it on a map and you look at it vertically, you can see a huge difference between Chernarus and Livonia and why there's an issue. So if this goes to YouTube unedited, because I just did that on the fly off the cuff from a question earlier, thanks for watching. There'll be more edited videos soon. Bonus content. Wow. Right, now we'll get back on with the stream. Thank you very much, YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring my bell or whatever you're meant to